During the turn of the 20th century, thousands of immigrants like the Marino family, who have owned and operated Marino's Market for nearly 100 years, settled in the areas surrounding Ensley and Fairfield, drawn by the booming promise of industry and prosperity as other municipalities began to spring up along the mineral vein that brought the region to life. For Marino, being the grandson of an Italian immigrant had a major impact on his life and where his family lived. Growing up with neighbors who were black in the 1950s and 60s in Birmingham not only allowed Marino to see the obvious flawed thinking behind segregation, but also instilled in him the need for equality and justice for everyone, regardless of the color of their skin.
Well, I tell you what, I have a grandfather named Tony Marino, and he's from Bissaquina, Sicily. And when he came over to Ellis Island, and he ended up over in Chicago, and he had some friends said, "Won't you go to Birmingham?" Because they got the steel mills coming up in Fairfield and Ensley, so he came down here to try to get a job. Well, when he come down here with an Italian immigrant, he couldn't read or write. He spoke very little English, broken English, and he couldn't get hired. And so he ended up marrying my grandmother, which is Mary Bruno, part of the Bruno chain that we had here for many years. And they started a little mom and pop grocery store. It had a little grocery store and a house on the left and a common door that went in between it. And he started in 1925, he started the grocery store in a little community in Fairfield called Ennisburg. And I can remember when I was 5 years old at that store. I worked over there doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that's how the grocery store actually started.
Now 70 years old, Marino is ready to hand over the business to his son, AJ. Though, Marino said, just like his father was, he doesn't know if he will ever be able to completely walk away from the store, which has been so central in his life. Beyond providing a place for citizens to buy food in what is often characterized as one of Birmingham's food deserts, Marino has been a major figure in the Ensley community for decades. In the 1970s, the NAACP leadership awarded both Marino and his father with a Community Service Award for their contributions to the predominantly African American communities west of I-65.
Growing up in the area that we had, it was just Italians and Afro-Americans. And we lived in this little community, and that's really what we had. And we all bonded together. And that bond has lasted a lifetime, is what it is. And when we had things that, as the times changed, and especially going into the 60s, with racial equality and things, we did not have a problem with that because we were surrounded with those two type nationalities. When I got that call, it was on Tuesday afternoon, and I said, wow, are you kidding me? It was, for lack of better terms, it was just really humbling because I've been in that second floor over there and I've seen the people that's on that wall. And I look at people like Dr. A.G. Gadsden and Dr. Green, Callahan, things like that, and Miss Nina, first lady that sat on the city council had to be Italian. My uncle, Joe Bruno, is on that wall. I said, I don't think that I'm qualified to be there. I just don't think I was. And they convinced me that I was. And they went back and reflected to some of the things that I've tried to do to make a difference. And again, I just said, wow, and I think you guys are showing out. That's my answer to them. I think you guys are just trying to show out. It's lack of a better phrase, but I'm just so humbled that I was even considered, and my family is so excited.
What do you think your father and your grandfather would say if they knew?
Well, that would be an emotional response. My grandfather started from nothing, taken in off the street with nothing, and found out he could come to this country and own something, and started this little grocery business before I was ever thought of. And my dad was my mentor. He and my mother would be so proud. I think that if they had to make a comment today, they'd say, that's my boy. But I owe what I believe in and the way I've lived my life to my father and my mother, because they instilled these values into me when I was a kid. And now at my age today, those values still ring loud, and I'm not changing. I'm going to work and try to help as much as I can, as long as I can. And I just feel like that's my calling.